name is Sam Reynolds, and Sam is a former Pueblo student. He went to school here for 6th grade. Sam is also an author, which is really exciting. He's written a couple of books, and he's still continuing to write. So Sam is here to tell you a little bit about how he writes, where he gets his ideas, what happens when he's writing, what happens if he gets writer's block, and hopefully that will encourage some of you to become writers yourselves. So here's Sam.
Wow, there's a lot of you. This is great. Who remembers me at Paloma from last year? A few of you?
I don't know.
I remember sitting in that chair. I felt like I was the king. It was fun. So as Kathy said, I'm Sam Reynolds. I went to Pueblo a long time ago, and I'm here to talk to you about my books. So I am 17. I went to Pueblo from 2010, 2011. I was on the Spirit Dogs team, as you can see by my amazing old t-shirt. I had Miss Siminek as my English teacher, Miss Pate for science, she retired, Miss Lagerquist for history, she's still here, and Miss Albert is now in Oregon, she was my math teacher. I'm now at a charter school in Mesa called Heritage Academy. I started going there in 7th grade. It's right in the heart of downtown, across from the Mesa Arts Center. It's a really good school, good teachers, and I'm graduating from there next year. So how my books began. It was the summer before my 6th grade year coming to Pueblo, and it was one of those days where you're with your best friend, you're sitting at his house, you're in the pool, you're eating barbecue chips, and then all of a sudden you think to yourself, I'm going to write a book. And that's basically how it happened. I had been fascinated with dinosaurs since I was like a little boy in the 2nd grade, and I basically use those ideas of, well, let's bring dinosaurs to life and stuff like that into my books. So my beginning writing process. Why writing 2 books at the same time is a terrible idea. It's a terrible idea because when I started writing, I had originally 4 books in the series. And I thought, maybe if I write the first one and the 3rd one at the same time, I can save time by writing 2 books twice as fast. Wrong. It does not work at all. I became more focused on writing one book over the other one, and then everything just was terrible, and trying to balance certain continuity and characters and blah, blah, blah. And it didn't work. So I had to trash most of what I had written, which was really sad. However, Pueblo used to have a writing club, which they called Pueblo Publishing. I went home and got the binder. Basically, they encouraged the students to write books or creative stories or stuff along those lines, and then they would publish it on this really nice paper. It feels really soft. And I published a little bit of what I had done on this book, and I've kept this journal ever since. It's really nice. It's got dust though. Now the concept over actual writing philosophy. That was something I started doing when I started writing. Basically, I would focus more on how the characters looked. Like I would draw them 1,000 times to see what they'd look with this hairstyle or this weapon or whatever. And instead of focusing on putting them in the actual story. So one of my tips of advice for you guys would be, if you're writing a story or an essay that involves a narrative, don't focus so much on how your characters look like or how they sound like, or just don't focus more on the characters, just focus on actually writing and getting it done, because that's where most of the profit is going to be. Now, publishing. Some of you may know Lizzie Stewart. She used to go here. She went a year after I did. She introduced me to this program called NaNoWriMo, which is National Novel Writing Month. It's a competition that they have every November where they encourage young writers to write a book in 30 days with a total of at least 30,000 words. And I used this opportunity to finish my book that I've been working on for 4 years. When you finish the competition and you beat your word goal, you get the opportunity to publish with Amazon's company called CreateSpace. And when I won the competition in 2014, I made an account with them. I set up my book. Basically how you set it up is you upload your file that has all the words on it. You can make your cover with their cover creator, which I did. And once you send it to them for approval, it takes 24 hours. Within a few days, it's on Amazon.com, which is really neat. So my completed projects. as you see on this table, there are 3 versions of the same book, and there is a reason for that. This was the first edition of Dino Hunters Part 1. The title's a little bit different than the rest of these. I'll explain why. And I was so focused on getting this book done as quick as I could that I neglected to go back and edit the thing, so there was a lot of mistakes, and I didn't like that. So what I decided to do was make a second version, where I changed the title, made it look a little bit nicer, and then I changed some of the mistakes, but then I realized there's even more mistakes. So I took a black pen and went through this thing like this thing that I did on my English papers. And after many, many edits and days of fixing everything and getting it reapproved, we came to this final 3rd version, which is now the version that is available on Amazon. It has very little errors and is the best version of this book that I have made, and I'm very, very proud of it. Now the second one, Dino Hunters Part 2. Dino Hunters Part 2 Armageddon, it did not take 4 years to write, it took 4 months. I took my crunch time and I was working on this thing like crazy. It's about, I would say, 2 times as big as this one, and it's a lot better because I knew how to write better. So now I'm going to read the summaries of both books for you guys, and then I'm going to give you a special treat afterwards. So for Dino Hunters Part 1. Harrison Lumino was just an ordinary teenager living in Minneapolis, Minnesota. He and his 7 friends would soon experience the greatest tragedy of their time, because they would be the ones to save mankind from total annihilation. What seemed as a night at the prom turned to a gory disaster, and what seemed as normal was all thrown away. The city was destroyed, and a man was claimed responsible. He did what no one thought was possible. He bred species that were lost to the ravages of time. He reanimated prehistoric dinosaurs for one purpose, to wreak havoc. Will Harrison and his friends be able to stop them in time? Will the villain be brought to justice or bring the planet down on its knees? Will the government try to sabotage the mission rather than aid our heroes? Will the group known as the Hunters complete the task ahead, or come short and seal humankind's extinction? Discover in this thrilling novel full of intense action, romance, mysteries around every corner, and a story that will keep you on the edge of your seat, begging for more. The truth, the real story, is unveiled in the beginning of this deadly journey, Dino Hunters Part 1. Left in ruins with the member dead and the ships obliterated, the Hunters' only objective left is to survive. The island of Torontico is a place of many secrets, and the group discovers these secrets as they try to uncover the mysteries of the island. Oliver Jensen still poses a grave threat to society and the world, greater than ever before. Will they be able to cage the dinosaur threat in time, or will they be forced to take extreme measures and change their objective entirely in order to save the world? Harrison and those who remain will be put to the ultimate test that will either unite them together or sever them permanently. Dive into the highly anticipated sequel to Dino Hunters Part 1 and follow the Hunters through the next phase of their perilous, life-threatening journey in Dino Hunters Part 2 Armageddon. We'll have time for questions at the end. So now, here is your guys' special treat. I'm going to talk to you about my current projects. Coming sometime soon this spring, whenever I get around to it, will be the next novel in the series called Deadlock. It's not going to be called Dino Hunters Part 3 for obvious reasons. If you read Part 2, you'll find out why. My original plan was to get Part 3 or Deadlock done by last December to commemorate the 1-year anniversary of the first book being published, but sadly my life got in the way and that didn't happen. So I'm trying in the next few months to get Deadlock finished. This is going to be the cover of the book. The 5 birds are very symbolic. And I'm going to read you guys the summary of that book. Although the Hunters managed to escape the clutches of Oliver Jensen on Torontico, he still remains a great threat. Thought to be dead, there is nothing left to stop him from unleashing the final phase of his ultimate plan, making humanity pay the price. Finding themselves on the run, will the team be able to end Jensen's plans before they come to fruition? Or, when faced with a bounty on their heads, will Harrison's actions risk the future of humanity? Just over a year after the first in the series was released, the next chapter of the long-lost Secrets series has arrived. Join Harrison and his friends as they once again have to fight their way to survive through this epic yet grim journey. Prepare as all hope seems lost and all hell breaks loose in Deadlock. Now, my plans for the future as an author. Now that we have 2 books out of the series done, I'm planning to do 2 more. Deadlock will be this spring, and the last book, Annihilation, will be sometime later this year in 2016. Probably August, or if that doesn't happen, probably December. I have plans to visit more schools. I've had a lot of fun doing the author visits today with the other grades. All the students have really enjoyed the books. I went over to Paloma. I saw some of you guys there last year, which was a month exactly last year. And that was really fun. You guys seemed to enjoy it. And one of my hopes is that I'll be able to continue to do what I love, which is using my talents and abilities as a creative writer to show the world that I'm capable of doing so much, and that I have the ability to make things the best they can be, and I show that through my storytelling, dialogue, and characters. And now we have some time left, so we're going to have a Q&A, so ask your questions away. Let's see, tell me your name.
Connor.
Connor.
Like, when you're writing a book, and what do you do if you can't, like, think of any more stuff, like writer's block?
I did face quite a bit of writer's block when I was writing part 2. One of the things that I would recommend doing is, if you have writer's block, whether it be for an hour or a day, just go out and do something else and get your mind totally off it, and then something that is totally unrelated to what you're writing will just kind of pop into your head out of nowhere, and then that's when you start writing again. I remember when I was writing part 2, I would have like writer's block for a little bit, and I would hate it because I needed to focus and get a certain chapter done a day so I could have it done in time. And I was on a plane back from Hawaii, and I wrote like 6 chapters on the plane ride because I was so inspired, writing as fast as I possibly could. So if you have writer's block, it's normal. It's not fun, but it is normal, and to overcome that, just try to focus your mind on something else and then get back to it when you've had enough time to rest. Because if I wrote these books sequentially one after another without like at least a month break in between, I would be going crazy right now. Tell me your name.
Blake, and also, how much pages do you try to get your books to have?
Books to have, it usually depends on how many chapters I have. The first book has 69 pages. The second one has 233. So the second one is like 3 chapters or so longer, but as I wrote more, I kind of had the chapters be longer and take up more space. So that's what I try to make books a little bit longer than the last. Tell me your name.
If you have any, who are your biggest influences?
My biggest influences, like, as a writer? Well, back in the day, when I was in 6th grade, Harry Potter, that was a big thing, right? I was inspired, because I was such a fan of those books. I didn't read all of them, so don't judge me. J.K. Rowling, I really liked her style of writing and just so much possibility that could be with her. So I'm like, well, if she's a good writer, then what if I became a good writer and tried to put myself out there? And then ever since, I've been trying to just make something new that people haven't seen before. What's your name?
Christian, did you originally think you were going to be like a writer, or did you just think?
No. I knew back in 2nd grade I liked to write a lot longer stories than the rest of the kids. That's just because I thought I was obsessed, and I am obsessed. But I would say in some cases yes, but if I was like not doing this, I don't really know what I'd be doing. What's your name?
Nevaeh. Why did you decide to write 4 books?
4 books because my original plan was to write Dino Hunters into 3 parts with I don't know, 20 chapters each per book. I thought that was doable, but I'm like, nah, let's just do it into 1 book. No, that's too many chapters. Let's do it into 2 books, and then that was good. And I knew the next book had to be really dark, and it had to go through a lot of stuff to set up the finale, and the finale is going to be like crazy. It goes from like a small problem to an even bigger problem, and then the 4th book's going to be like the entire world could die if something does not go right. Tell me your name.
Sarah, when you're writing a book, obviously you wrote the first book, but when you know that you're going to make a 2nd and a 3rd and a 4th book, do you like sit in a chair for hours and think, what does this book going to be, or is the second book going to be about to make it better than the first book, or is it, or are you just walking in the park and all of a sudden it comes to you?
I kind of did a little bit of both. This second one, I would give my books to some of my friends, and then they would point out to me some of the issues I need to fix. So then I would make sure to address those issues in the second book and fix everything that I had done wrong in the first one. When I was conceptualizing part 2, I knew exactly where I wanted the story to go. I knew I wanted them to go to the island and have the dinosaurs on the island, have a big fight, and everything else that goes on there. But kind of as I went along, I figured out a way to weave in some different subplots that actually had a lot to do in the end of the book. So it's kind of both of planning out how to get there. It's just like planning out what I want to do, but getting there is sometimes a little bit crazy, but it still happens somehow. Tell me your name.
Josh, and do you have a lot of trial and error?
Trial and error? Like, what do you mean?
Like, when you're writing the book, do you make a lot of mistakes at first?
At first, I made a lot of mistakes with this one, but because I wrote it over a span of 4 years, and my writing style changed so much in 4 years from, oh, I'm a 6th grader, to, oh, wow, this is terrible. So I think as you learn more writing skills and you can see how the way you write kind of changes, you see yourself making less mistakes and kind of really driving a better story through. Oh.
How do you come up with your ideas for the books?
The ideas, the whole dinosaur part was with Jurassic Park. The rest of it, I kind of just made it up on my own with my best friend. We kind of conceived what we wanted to be at first, and then I kind of branched off and did my own thing. He's branching off and doing his own thing right now, trying to get some of his ideas onto actual paper. So we kind of went our separate ways with kind of the same story. Any other questions? Well, as another special treat, your teachers have little slips of paper that show you how to find the books on Amazon. If you guys are interested, you can go on there. I would stay away from the review section because it's completely awful. And if you guys are interested, just tell your friends. You guys can come up if you want, take a look at the books. If you guys are writers yourselves, I would say keep writing. Just keep doing what you love to do. And if you ever need help, you have people that you can go to for help. You have teachers like Miss Siminek. You have your parents. Just, I would say, do what you love, but don't stop doing it if you think that it's too hard, because you will make it there eventually if you just try and you continue to believe in yourself. That is it.
Tony, just imagine if there was someone to write a book.
Do it. Do it.
I've only wrote it I've wrote part 1. Yeah, how do you do That's kind of Good job, Sam. Proud of you. Were you taller than her in 6th grade?
I was shorter.
I think fairly, probably. You were kind of tall, but not.
Bigger.
You were like at least the size.
Basic.
That's like average height.
For 6th grade.
You get taller as you go on.
I still feel like
Right, Justine?
I feel like I'm the same height.
I've been this tall since 6th grade.
I'm not gonna say this. Those are like
going in, so thanks, Sam, and head over to the drawer.
Take a sip as you guys now. Ask your parents.
iPad, hurry up and head over to
Oh, do you? Oh, you're Treadway. Yeah. That's right. I know you.